They shall know that the chosen priest, an ox of infinite space, is the prince, priest, the beast, and in his woman called the scarlet woman is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the heart of man. 16, for he is ever a sun and she a moon, but to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight, but we are not so chosen. 18 burn upon their brows, O splendorous serpent. 19, O azure-lidded woman, bend upon them. 20, the key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto him.
As a curiosity and kind of a problem to be solved. And if you hear him speak, his mindset is completely different. And it makes a big difference on your attitude towards opportunity in America. And you know, if you're still there, yeah, you're still there. No, when you were talking about genealogy and not knowing your genealogy, I wasn't sure where you were going with it. But what I get from that, you know, what is, if I understood you, is that, or I'll interpret what you said. I won't try to assume to know everything of what you meant. But what I get from that is that, yeah, genealogy can be important, but it's not the be-all and end-all. And as an example of that, one of the billionaires that Trump looks up to and saw, I don't know if he was ever a mentor, was a guy named Kurt Krikorian. And he came to this country. He was an immigrant. He came to this country with nothing, and yet ended up being a billionaire. So, yeah, all of that is important or can be important, but it's not a limitation. And yeah, and I go to a point that the Democrats use that as yet another creating yet another another crutch to control the narrative of black people in this country.
Force the Democrats to then
try the new one. I'm sorry, Joe.
Yeah. Hey, Anthony. Oh, I'll pass you the mic, right? Look, force the Democrats then to have to take away the energy drilling on federal lands from actual voters, that vote. predominantly for Democrats, not in whole, but predominantly for Democrats, you would be pinning a voting bloc against their primary party in many aspects. So, but that's all it is. I mean, but it won't solve it. Just so people know, the issue will come back up in another 30, 40, 50 years, rebranded and reframed, and whatever issues come from that. The corporations took all the money. We didn't get enough. You name what it is, right? Like there will be some grievance that comes from it, and the best I can say is eventually black folk that still fall for a lot of this political rhetoric, that they have to break from that idea. I think Edwards got the idea. You got to think of yourself as an American, not as just your identity, your skin color, right?
Joe,
until that pattern broke.
I'm confused by you. Are you a
Sam, I'm
Republican?
sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but this guy's confusing.
Yes, I'm a Republican. Go ahead, Ann.
Are you conservative?
So
Very conservative, like very, very conservative. Yes, I don't believe the federal. Like, let me give you an example. I don't believe the federal government should own roughly 28% of the country. Do you? I believe in limited government. I believe in limited government.
Maybe that's where I'm a little. Maybe if you want to call me a liberal conservative Republican, I believe in preservation of the land. I don't want corporate sector just gobbling up all those nature preserves.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not talking about getting rid of Yosemite, but there's a lot of lands. I mean, look at the state of Nevada. There's a lot of land that has natural gas under it that the federal government is not allowing any development on, that we could clearly develop on. And using some sort of social issue to advance it. These aren't places where people want to live. And I'm not saying going and taking Rocky Mountain National Park. No, these areas should be preserved. However, get out in your car and drive through the West and pull out a map and look. It's easy to find how much federal land is owned. And this is where those debates over, especially out in Alaska, the federal, when every time the Democrats get in power, they rescind the permits to be able to drill for that energy, right? And then when the Republicans get back in office, they reissue those permits to drill on federal land. Well, to take that argument completely away, you pin a voting bloc against the Democrats is the agenda.
Okay. Well, I guess the difference between me and you is just debating really whether that land should be used or not. Because there's a lot of beautiful land I don't want to see get ruined. Factories and drilling sites. The United States of America is beautiful topography-wise.
Yeah, but it's the only area. If you look at the East isn't owned by the federal government. Many areas in the West is owned by the federal government. To the tune of 28% of our land is owned by the federal government. I don't know if a lot of people know that. That land should be handed back over to the states for the states to be owned. Now there's bases and there's locations. Some of the areas wouldn't be usable, but areas out like in the Nevada region and stuff, it's all natural gas out there. This is just desert, man. I mean, what do you mean? Like, you don't want us to be able to use our land?
I get you, because I travel to 42 states. I get you with Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico. I just don't want, like, Oregon, the beautiful areas like Oregon, Northwest, Midwest regions, that nature, beautiful nature, just...
This man is a clown. He thinks he can win by creating
out
concrete
there in the
videos
desert,
every
New
day.
Mexico, where it's just out miles and miles and miles of just desert. Fine, nobody's gonna know it. It's not, but out there, Midwest, Northwest.
I didn't want to ask him a question.
Edward, let's please not go any further down this rabbit hole, man. It's an obscure point.
It's okay.
I don't even know how we got on it, but I just wanted to address something when I came in the room. Alan was talking. I deferred to the moderator, Joe, and so I just want to hop in really quick. I noticed, Alan mentioned genealogy. There's a comment in the chat about genealogy. I don't know what came prior to me coming in. I'm not indicting anybody's comments. I really don't care about genealogy. I think it's stupid, but that's just, I'm one man with one opinion. It doesn't really matter. As it relates to...
Okay, this is John Kitover. Go to ChicagoMayorVote.com, ChicagoMayoral.com, John Kitover, Chicago.com, MayorKitover.com. We're listening to a group of supposed conservatives talk about everything under the sun today. I hope you're having a beautiful Saturday.
You know, I was
We're going to show alum. Enjoy.
Matt Walsh, and he did a little episode on John Brown. Very interesting episode. I recommend everybody go watch it. And it brought something to my attention that I had no idea about. Didn't know this, and I'm embarrassed. You know, a lot of people in the room probably know this, but I had no idea. In the Confederate States, prior to the Civil War, does anybody know what percentage of white people owned slaves?
1%.
It was less than 5%. Less than 5%.
Less than 5% of all people. So 5 out of every 100 owned a slave.
We need to stop talking about this shit. This idea of reparations,
It is a scam.
It's such a dumb idea. It's so
it ain't dumb if you're gonna get $100,000 check.
People
A lie so good, you ever tell a lie so good it ain't even a lie no more.
Slaves for slavery. That dog will never, ever,
I was
ever
in the
run.
army.
It just needs to stop being attacked. My humble opinion.
Yeah, I think it needs. I agree. It needs to be stopped. It needs to stop being a topic, but it's not going to stop until our country has felt that there has been necessary and sufficient repair of what the implications of what the legacy of slavery left to the United States and what we still experience today. I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied. I think there's more things that we could do. And honestly, I hate to say this, but I get frustrated by everybody talking about, oh, it's a stupid idea, but no, it's not.
Reparations is not a stupid idea. It's so every dark skin colored person, $100,000. It's a great idea. Just because of the color of the skin, the way that the light reflects the melatonin.
The opportunities that the country offers is amazing. We just have to be organized enough to get the word out and to figure out how we can move forward. There are
gotta get the reparation word out,
mentioning this
and then
before he left.
everything gonna be okay.
I really
Everything gonna be normal again. No more racism ever.
Reparation organizations all band together and did like a
We're gonna band together and get that check.
Deal. I think that there could be so much done with that. You have the
it's a great idea.
NCOBRA, right? That Marshall brought up and HR 40. That NCOBRA, that's all NCOBRA, National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America. That is still around today, and they're doing great things. When I was in Kansas, my father-in-law, he was part of just a Kansas City coalition. And it's, I would say it's a coalition, something like that. But it by a guy named Mickey Dean, who was the founder of that. And it's a Kansas City Reparations Coalition, right? And these are all grassroots stuff, grassroots reparation organizations, right? There is stuff in, there's a Robin Simons, First Repair. She did this whole thing where she helps people understand how to pass and how to work with your state and your local cities to pass local reparation programs. This is the type of shit that we need to be continuously educating everybody else so we can get the things that we need to do. And the last thing that I'm saying, the states, this is what I don't hear that it's talked about a lot, and I think that it's so wonderful, okay? In the United States, we have 50 states, and we have, believe it or not, we have different ways of going about passing legislation. We have direct democracy states, and we have indirect democracy states. Do you know what direct democracy states means? Direct democracy states has things that are, they're called initiatives and referendums, which means that you as an ordinary citizen don't have to first get enough people to convince enough people in the population to convince them to all get on board with voting for one person and then getting that one person elected. No, this is direct democracy. All you need to do is you need to get enough people, a percentage of your population, to agree that something should be seen as a vote, right? And it goes right to the fucking ballot, which means you get enough of the population to with signatures, and it goes right to that, and then it passes as law. Wow. Okay, so where are the direct democracy states? This is what I would do. I would look at the direct democracy states and look at the ones that have the biggest populations of Black Americans, because this is, and I'll explain why that's important.
My love,
Just a second. Hold on, I'm almost done.
You bring a lot, you said you explain, and that you sound like you're almost done.
Done.
There's a lot.
Your shit, okay? You gotta listen to my shit, okay? So then you get into one of these direct democracy states that has the largest number of Black Americans, and the reason you want to do that is because it's going to get easier. You don't need any white people to pass the fucking state law or to change the Constitution. You just need enough people that are going to the percentage required to pass that fucking thing, and it's literally as simple as that. That was how the entire trajectory of the weed population. I don't remember his name, but I worked with the very first person who ever passed any type of legislation for marijuana in Washington. It was a guy years and years ago, and it had to do with this is what he used. This is how I learned about it. I was in college at the time. It was an initiative, direct democracy state. So that's all that we have to do. And we can start passing reparations on the local level, on our state levels, okay? And we don't need to convince other population, the dominant majority, to pass it. You just need enough people in the state, and point blank period. And that's what we need to do. We need to start educating people about that.
If I may, Bima.
I
will pass the throne to Mr. Edward or Mr. Anthony.
Well, this is one thing. I think that Bima, you missed what Anthony said from the very beginning.
No,
He
I
asked you.
intentionally ignored that shit.
Hold on. I know you did, but you, even though you say you want to avoid it, you can't take away historical facts. Before the Civil War, less than 5% of the American population owned slaves. And what you have to do, which he didn't give you, was 3,000 of those were Black people who owned slaves. Okay? So when you talk about these things, you got to actually know, understanding history. We got to stop thinking that the people that owned slaves were landowners. They need to
with slavery, though, Edward.
Bima, let me finish, Bima.
You understand that?
Yeah, Bima, of course I understand that.
Well, then why does it matter?
It does matter. You know why? Because you're asking the other 95% of the American people that did not participate in slavery to pay for it. That's why it matters.
No, I'm asking that. No. That's not what.
No, I
I'm asking.
understand her.
Okay, that's not what I'm asking.
No,
What I'm
I
saying,
Can I finish, Bima?
well, yeah, sure, but it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Anthony, because Anthony made a great point. Before the Civil War, there was a certain population of men and some women who purchased slaves. This was their business. It had nothing to do with the federal government. Now we're asking the federal government, you said, direct democracy states and all these other places, to get people to vote for them and not. This is not how commerce works. Okay? I land on this, guys, so I keep it very short. I don't think or comprehend that I should be, Edward, compensated for work I never did. I don't need someone to pay me reparations for something I, Edward, never did. And those who did it are no longer here. And for me to be fighting for something I never earned is, just for Edward, not for anybody else, is absolutely crazy to me. I land.
Okay.
Mr. Anthony.
Hold on one
You were
second.
next.
So I just wanted
Mr.
to
Anthony was
respond to Edward.
next.
Yeah, but I wanted to respond to Edward. The reason that doesn't matter, okay, is because it's not just about slavery. It's as I explained, it's the legacy right? It's the idea, the concept of what caused the divide and the racism that then lasted because of the small. Do you know that almost all the Christian sects, almost all of them, okay, justified slavery in the United States? That's why you have the northern, you have the southern Baptist, you have the northern. They split because they couldn't come. They no, this isn't Christian, and almost all of the Christian, and I'm talking Christian, the Christian religions had to come with apology letters. The Catholics, the Presbyterians, the Baptists, you name it, all of them. They had to come out with apology letters. They're still coming out with them in the 21st fucking century because of how they were able to. So, why am I bringing this up? The point I'm bringing this up is because this was a disease that infiltrated America, and the thought then infiltrated our legislation. So we had slavery, yeah, sure, but then it moved to other things. We don't even have to go to reparations bill. We don't have to go back to slavery. We could just go to the New fucking deal. And I say this all the time. The New Deal, which built the modern day middle class white in the United States, because who was left out of it effectively and entirely? Black Americans. So the federal government got together, got everybody, and said, okay, we're going to give you this injections here, insurance here, all of this, wealth building here, all these, everything. And Black Americans were effectively pushed out. What I'm saying is, fucking repair that. If you pass the bill, you do a 2.0, a New Deal 2.0, because that's and not until I'm done.
Yeah.
Do a New Deal 2.0, and you fix what you fucked up. And yes, every person in the middle class that today, fuck, if it was built by the New Deal, okay, and all of those, most of those acts that are still alive today, that still dominate the structure of our society and the threads of our society. They just wanted to remove race. They made it race neutral, and all of a sudden, no. If it's the same exact fucking structure that built the cup, and you just remove the color of the cup, you think that the cup isn't gonna do the same exact thing that it was intended to do? Okay, that's what we have to destroy, or we have to repair it. So that's the point. So fix the things that we can objectively point to and say, look, because all of this is documented. You don't have to agree with me.
It's not about a few guys.
We know who.
You say all of this is documented.
Was left out. We know who the federal government, how the federal government. I mean, it's there, and we can objectively quantify. We could see today people who are living today that have actually been hurt. Do you know that some of these reparations?
No, Beamer, no. You're not gonna start on a new tangent, Beamer. Please, please don't start on the old clothes, dude. Beamer, you can't keep on starting on these crazy long tangents.
Guys,
It's terrible, Beamer.
I know. And the last thing I'm going to say is that there are corporations, organizations that still today that teach other people how to sue the government to get what is owed to them. Okay?
Beautiful.
Justice for free.
Complete thought. Thank you. You're landing on a complete thought. Alan, go ahead. I'll go after.
Yeah.
I'll go after you, Anthony.
Because you kind of missed the point of what she was saying. And Edward, I think you did too. Regardless of whether it's right or wrong, or if there were 3,000 black slaveholders, what she's saying is if you get enough votes, you can pass a law that would give reparations. That she's stating a political fact. What you're missing, Bima, is that if you do that, the people and you do it on a local level, the people who have money, they're going to leave. And you've seen that. I forget where it was, but there was one town that voted themselves to separate from the black part of town, and the black part of town is all up in arms because all of the money to support their social programs coming from the white part of town. And now they're like, well, now we don't have money to do all the things that we want to do because it was coming from white people. And that's exactly what is going to happen. Yes, Beam is correct. You can vote in our generation. Well, now that thing is the reason why our disparities today. We're tired of hearing the reparations that we gave past generations being the excuse why there are disparities today and why we need to yet again give even more money to a problem that is ultimately your problem. Stop believing trash. You have a seat at the table. Use it. Stop blaming others. I'm done.
So Alan, I appreciate it, man. Now, like, Joe, he succinctly, like, got to the heart of the matter. It'll never be enough. That's the truth of the matter. Even if we went with Beamer's worldview, it will never be enough. It's like if we were to negotiate with some terrorists and give them what they asked for, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna come back and ask for more. Now, I just wanna. I'm gonna be really. I'm not gonna be like Beamer. I love the girl, but I'm not gonna be like her. I'm not gonna be long-winded and belabor points and all of this nonsense. Yo, the United States of America inherited slavery. It didn't invent slavery. It didn't create slavery. It inherited slavery. A minute percentage of the United States citizens owned slaves. A percentage of the people that owned slaves happened to also be black. This idea that someone who was never a slave is owed money for slavery by people who never owned slaves does not make any sense whatsoever. Lastly,
Yes, sir.
This idea, you know what? You got it, bro. I'm just gonna mute up.
I wanted to touch on what you and Mr. Edwards were saying, Mr. Anthony. You know, and also Mr. Allen and Joe B. You know, Generation X. Like, if you were born before 1980, like, you know, we used to go on the streets. We knew each other. We would like hang out streets because we were stuck out of the house on our BMX bikes, drinking out of garden hoses. Like, I would go over to Anthony's like house and eating food and his parents and his family, and then like he'd be over the next night at house, and we would build ramps and jump over ditches, and like, you know, the younger generation has this racial thing really screwed up, because I didn't recognize this racial divide after like 2012. Like, it became a new thing. Like, I'm like, oh, there's racism. Like, you know, I didn't see it my whole life. I mean, what? I'm not allowed to go over to Mr. Anthony's house or Mr. Edwards' house and have dinner? What? Because I'm white? Like, or my appearance of melanin in my skin? Like, no. Y'all young people keep putting this thing on there. You're talking about reparations. I agree with what Mr. Allen was saying about the 60s, because I agree with you on that one, sir. And like, Mr. Anthony, like, you know, straight to the crux of it, like, not everybody owns, like 95% of everybody didn't have anything to do with any of it. But you want that 95% of their tax money to pay for the reparations for what you said the 5% did. And then, like you said also, that there was a small group of black, you know, slave owners that were part of the population as well. Like, where are you drawing the line? And I'll land right here. I'm like 8% Nigerian. I'm Hasidic Jew. I'm English and from Ireland. Like, dude, that's why I look the way I look. But I'm just a fucking American. And why do you think, like, after my service, from all this shit that I did with the military, that you think that you can get my money to pay for your new Gucci bag? And I'll land there.
Alright, so I want to jump in there. So let me start by saying this. Being an Irish, I dislike what you're doing. I respect your admiration. But what I'm telling you, what you think you're doing, you're not helping black people. The only thing you're doing is continuously feeding them with a crutch that allows them to stay on the couch and not get up and support their fucking self. Again, I'm gonna go back to this story. We were told this story, and niggas never went back to fact check the accuracy of the story. And it took black people and put them in front of us. And we can see, if we just look at our lives today and we look at how these black Democrats act, we know that these black folks do not have our best intentions at heart. So this shit just didn't start today. Just like they ain't got our best intentions at heart today, they did not have our best intentions at heart a few hundred years ago. Because if you believe this story as the way they tell it, and what I'm talking about is the story of the transatlantic slave trade, then there's a big gaping question that niggas got to deal with. Number one, you can tell me a bunch of white people went over to Africa, picked you up, brought you to America, and then we put you in the wheel, gave you all the land in the 1800s, billions of acres of land, only to turn around and take it back from you? That makes no fucking sense. I brought you over here. I put you to work on the plantation. I willed you the land, because a lot of black people in the South got land in their name, only to then turn around and take the land right back from you. That makes absolutely zero sense at all. It doesn't make, you don't even have to be a historian to understand how that don't make sense. So if the black people who were the slave owners, would they have to pay reparations? Because it wasn't a small group. It was actually a significant number of black people that was actually slave owners in the South. You had some black melanated people who were classified as white on the census. But the only way you can know these things is by doing a genealogy to figure out who the hell these people are. You wouldn't be able to take today's perspective and apply these terms to events in a time frame that occurred 200 years ago. You would have to go back to English common law, read their books, understand how they define things. And what you will understand is that the term white, as it applies to a classification, represented a landowner. That's it, that's all. It did not have a complexion. It did not have a religion tied to it. It was a classification that you were a landowner. So who could be a landowner? Anybody could be a landowner, but they're classified on the census as white. Number two, you cannot criminalize, and this is in the Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, ex post facto. You cannot penalize and say that something was unlawful when, according to the law books, and every single lawyer at that time confirmed that slavery, however bad y'all think it is, was legal. There was three ways you could become a slave. Number one, a prisoner of war. Number
in the show, and I think I was like, that's was it the broken owl? That's the broken eagle or the this, and I'm like, how do I know this? And it was because I would listen to Dan Carlin's podcast, and when Vikings was on TV.
Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, an ox of infinite space, is the prince, priest, the beast, and in his woman called the Scarlet Woman is all power given. They shall gather my children shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. 16, for he is ever a sun and she a moon, but to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight, but ye are not so chosen. 18, burn upon their brows, O splendorous serpent. 19, O azure-lidded woman, bend upon them. 20, the key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto him.
Wait, Matt, I wanted to ask you, do you have your own facility, or you bought another facility, basically your own?
Rafi,
Rafi, I do.
You can mute Marshall because I can't do it.
Okay, 1 second. Here you go.
Thanks, Rafi. I do it all myself.
Okay, no, because we just acquired a pharmaceutical company that does like colognes for Umbra and all those.
Sure.
So that's why I asked.
No. I like.
No, because we're basically a bottling plant for all this pharmaceuticals, like for cosmetics right now. We have the equipment, so that's why I asked.
You have to give me your contact. I'm always looking for perfume bottles.
Yeah, we have everything.
Send me a DM. But no, I do everything. I buy the oils from around the world.
You need a machine that bottles?
No, I do that. I do it by hand.
The black and white, what I'm kind of not understanding.
This is a word for word. Okay? Harder than other.
What are you
That's the wrong one. Hold on. It's the wrong link. Sorry. That was the wrong link. It's the wrong link. Oh, he's coming to tell us that we wasted our time all day talking online. And John is going to shoot his shot in a few seconds here. And then he's going to run out of the troll.
Before he moves on, I'm so proud of him for reading The Witch of Selfishness, except I took 2 days to read it, max.
Yeah.
John has been reading it for the past month. So proud of John Kitover.
Yeah, thank you. And it's because I'm reading it in 3-minute intervals and putting it on YouTube so I can go back and listen to it. And, it's terrifying when you actually read a book and then you realize how ignorant people are on this app, that they wouldn't actually be able to run a pizza shop. It's unbelievable. And I'm sorry about redundantly complaining about your redundancies and how you just keep repeating yourselves, and therefore I keep repeating myself. But hey, some of us never went to prison and sat, in solitary confinement for crimes. And then you come on social apps and you say you fucked your wife the other night. Oh God, I'm sure your wife just finds you so entertaining talking about your personal sex life on a social audio chat app. Disgusting. Vile. This is a husband? This is a church leader who redundantly just talks to Muslims all day long as if he's a crusader or something. What's the point of all this? Is there something happening here? Is it a happening, an experience? Because you're not the only room. There's a lot of R-word rooms on this app that I go in and I remind them all the time. Maybe we should read a book together, everybody. Because for months and years you've accomplished nothing. You just keep having the same conversation every day. You just keep repeating yourself every single day. What's the point of doing it?
I gotta put him in the audience. I can't. Anyway.
He's not wrong.
Back to this verse.
He's not wrong.
111. 5 crucial verses here. 5 crucial verses. 5 sentences. I don't know what's going on here, LSF. If you had an opportunity to read this chapter, I never read this chapter before in my life, and this is going to be my favorite chapter by far.
You haven't read this chapter before?
Never in my life before today.
You weren't aware of this chapter?
Never once was I ever aware of such fucking jibber jabber my entire life.
Catholic? You're not aware of the 5th chapter of the Quran that you
No, 111. We're on 111.
Alright.
Not the 5th chapter. I read up to... Wait, why do we change the link? Put the link up. Hold on. I'm putting the link up because I want to do a word-for-word translation here.
Surah
I did. I put it at the top. Let Joanna read this so she can read how much of a fucking mess this is. Go ahead, Joanna. Trying to make the most sense of this, please.
Where do I go?
Word for word, right at the top.
Oh, right at the top.
Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, master of infinite space, is the prince priest of these. And in his woman, called the Scarlet Woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. These are fools that men adore, both their gods and their men of fools. 12 come fall for children under the stars and take your fill of love. 13, I am above you, and in you my ecstasy is in yours. My joy is to see your joy. 14 above, the gem azure is the naked splendor of Nuit.
Hey, hey, where you going? Ain't nobody playing with you.
Supper.
All right, I'll. Can you hear me? I'll make it short. I'll wrap it up. So all I'm saying is this: the Constitution is in the place for a reason. It's the law of the land. Nobody's gonna violate the Constitution for anybody's morals, especially when you're talking about taking this up as a legislative form and you want to come back. You know the funny part about it? I bet you nobody can explain when slavery became illegal. Most people don't understand how this governmental system works. They don't understand that we're operating in a dual federalism position right now. They don't understand why some of the states still have laws on the book that permit slavery, and they don't understand how did they become a 14th Amendment citizen, and who was it for, and how did you actually get out of slavery, and what was the reason why. They don't know.
They're operating illegally right now because they have no jurisdiction, so people know that.
I swear you're so insane. What are you doing? What are you listening to? I hear Clubhouse Room playing in the background.
Yeah, I'm blocked from that room. It's the President Trump room with Beaver and Bima and Joe and Sword and Matt and Pepe. And it's amazing how. Are you in favor of black reparations?
It depends on how they're paid out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could work if it was in form of education or medical advancements or, investing in small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on how the reparations. I don't engage with the reparations conversation because I think it's kind of mute. But it depending on how it's paid out, I think or land, if it's land, giving descendants land, then sure, something that would benefit generations or families outside of financial. I think they need to be in the form of something tangible, not just giving out a check. That's what I think.
So in my PTR, I'm holding a book called The Virtue of Selfishness, and it says something. Her name is Ayn Rand or Ayn Rand, and I had never read her before, but people on here, constantly talk about her. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to read.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the Fountainhead. Go ahead.
It says, when I say capitalism, I mean a full, pure, uncontrolled, unregulated, laissez-faire capitalism with a separation of state and economics in the same way and for the same reasons as the separation of state and church. A pure system of capitalism has never yet existed, not even in America. Various degrees of government control have been undercutting and distorting it from the start. Capitalism is not the system of the past. It is the system of the future, if mankind is to have a future. So, we all know separation of church and state, but have you ever heard anybody say separation of state and economics? No, you've never heard anybody say that. And reparations is the opposite of that. It is state and economics. So it's not capitalism, and it's not natural. And all I can say is it's an impossible thing to implement because there will be the lawsuits because it's discriminatory. And then how do you actually determine, lineologically or based on, all that history? Like, it's just become so convoluted, complex, and impossible. But either way, the future is capitalism, meaning that there probably will be like a new country eventually based off of the corporation as opposed to the state.
Well, it's not hard to. Well, that's the thing about it. Lineage-based reparations, in my opinion, it's not hard. That wouldn't be a challenge. The government knows, based on records, historical records. I do believe the Freedmen's Bureau is one of them. I think it's the Freedmen's Bureau. They know who the descendants of slaves are. I mean, they were, slave owners kept records of their slaves. Their slaves generally had the last names of their slave owners. And if, through census and birth records, I think it's possible to trace them. Could you trace down to the last end of every descendant of every slave, that every descendant walking today, could they be traced to the past? I'm not necessarily saying it would be 100% effective, but I don't think lineage-based reparations would be challenging for foundational Black Americans. And that's where it gets tricky, because then everyone says, those who oppose it, and even some Black Americans who oppose it, they say, well, what about immigrants? What about African Caribbean immigrants? Do they qualify? No, because they're not foundational Black Americans. They cannot trace their ancestry to slavery in this country. And so lawsuits, and that gets a little tricky too, because then why is it discriminatory? It impacts descendants of slaves. That label right there, nobody else in the country qualifies for that label, falls under that category. You're not a descendant of slaves. You weren't on the boats. You weren't from Africa. Why would anybody feel discriminatory about that?
Well, let me say this. In the other room, in the President Trump rooms, a Black guy, I can't remember his name, you know who he is, he said that only 5% of Southern whites owned slaves. Only 5%. So 95% of all the people living in the South were not owners. They were participants in the economy, but not owners. It was 5%. But the other thing is, the North didn't have slavery. So, the per capita question comes into play. Why would Northerners who died in, at like 500,000 at least? So I'm just saying that the blood has been spilled to such a degree. And so, how do you actually, because it's a tax, essentially, it will be, and I ran the numbers, if it was 1 trillion, it would be 75,000 each. But then, would the government make you sign like a non-disclosure agreement, meaning that you are barred from engaging in race hustling? You can no longer claim America is racist because apparently, money and the final decree, consent decree, will forever bar the complainers. That's what I'm saying is if you want a payout, you've got to agree and sign a piece of paper that we can hold up and say, okay, you can't complain anymore. Sorry, it's not racist anymore. So I'm just saying that this is actually like talking about the weather. Or even politics. It's just.
But you don't see how people who are pro reparations. They feel that the descendants are owed reparations because their ancestors, specifically the freedmen and women, were promised certain tangibles after slavery. They were promised, the whole 40 acres and a mule, you know, you know, promise, I suppose, for lack of a better words. And because these freedmen and women did not get their land, they didn't get what the government promised them. Was it Lincoln who promised? I forget. And so the descendants feel we're still owed. You did not give our ancestors what you promised. That debt still needs to be repaid. So it's about repayment of debt, not apology. It's a repayment of debt, not necessarily saying racism is over and done. We can never say that. No, this is what you owed our great whomever, and since you didn't pay them, you have to pay us. We're the descendants of those people.
Got it. Okay. Aren't the reparation arguments more like a vaccine, meaning that it's a blanket one-all cure-all for everybody? Whoever can claim it. So that's what I'm saying is, if you can actually claim that in 1865 your great-great-great-great-grandfather got fucked over and didn't get his free land, well, okay, but that's a separate personal lawsuit. That's not a blanket, everybody gets a $75,000 check if you got dense melatonin. You see what I'm saying? How do you actually parse out the actual victims versus the social woke policy adjustment? That's the crux. I mean, how do you actually do it?
And that's just the thing about it. If the government were to get serious about reparations and have that conversation and decide, yes, we are going to make good with the descendants of slaves and figure out how we can give them reparations, I suspect that will be part of the clauses or requirements of capital rules, this, that, and the other. Some might have to trade, like I said, use census, use those DNA and me tests, or those root tracer tests, what a 1, 2, 3 and me, African ancestry, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'm sure there will be a lot of requirements. I know I read, and I'm going to be very vague on this because I don't have the story in front of me. But I know California was trying to do something similar within the last year or so, give reparations to Southern Californians or black people in a certain region, or I don't know if it was throughout the entire state, but part of the requirements were you have to prove X, Y, and Z in order to qualify for these cash payouts and these checks up to something. Again, I'm vague because I don't have it in front of me. But I think the points you raised, John, would be, you listen, first of all, we know this government does not want to give black folks no money in the form of reparations. And so, if, like I said, to wrap it up, if they were to have this conversation to decide, okay, yeah, we're going to give black folks, we're going to make good, we're going to apologize for the horrors of slavery and clear this debt. Of course they're going to make it challenging for foundational black Americans to collect. And you're right. Not everybody's going to get a check. So...
Yeah, and then how do you actually prove, how do you disprove that you were, because again, this all comes down to individual lawsuits. It's not a collective lawsuit, because some people probably were compensated and did get their land, and some people probably got cheated and screwed. So some people actually got what they were going to get. So how do you get those people? That's what I'm saying. It just becomes an impossibility. The real...
You don't think the government has records of all of these transactions?
Sitting where, Nye? In some underground vault? No!
Listen, you're trying to tell me, as a person, you're trying to tell me that the government does not have records of how...
They have census.
What plots of land were
That's at the county level. The federal government doesn't keep those records. That would be the county deeds and recorder's office. That would be one way to prove your case. That's why I'm saying you can't do a collective class action lawsuit. This has to be individual.
But let me tell you what you could do, actually. What we can do is, there are a lot of companies that benefited then during slavery and that were a lot of companies' foundation are rooted in the slave trade. Now, of course, these companies, their names have changed over the past 100 so years. But a lot of companies like J.P. Morgan, et cetera, a lot of banking systems, they would not exist without the slave trade, okay? And slave auctions. So what we do is we find out who those companies are, and we go for them. We go to them to get the money. That's all. Who are the companies that benefited from the slave trade and slave auctions? Who are the companies that were allowed to, flourish and develop all across the world thanks to their involvement in slavery? And those are the companies that we hit up today and get reparations. The taxpayer never, fuck the tax. We don't have to bother the taxpayer. Hit up the corporations. There's enough of them. That's how I
That's a very generalized statement with no specifics, no AI research, no Google. Like, you didn't give any real examples.
Well, listen, you don't have to do AI. Listen, you don't have to do AI and a quick Google search. If you remember, if you have at least a vague memory of U.S. history, okay? And I say vague in my case because I haven't been in a U.S. history class in decades. We need to get a historian up in here to really articulate this properly. But anybody who has a basic understanding of U.S. history knows about companies the companies that flourished, or let me not even say flourished, were established thanks to slave auctions and investments through cotton, okay, and slave trading. And some of these companies, many of these companies still exist today. Again, it would take you to pull up the top, 100, 500 top corporations of the world and go down the rabbit hole of their inception.
I only brought the topic up. I only brought this topic up because they're talking about it in Matt Cool's room. And to me, like, I want to be really discerning about what I listen to and what I talk about. And to me, again, this actually isn't an important issue on a list of my priorities or what I think the priorities should be for the country. And the evidence is in my hand, which is called a book. And it talks about the separation of economics and state. We already know about the separation of church and state because we know that could be a problem. But why aren't we admitting that, the way that things are set up now is the problem? Meaning we don't actually have laissez-faire capitalism. We have state-controlled economy. And we're 40 trillion in debt. So let's just say every African American who can prove that they are a victim of slavery were to get $100,000 check. I would be fine with that. But you have to realize, where would that money come from? We could borrow it to pay it and then tax in the future, or we could cut Medicaid, which has a $4.2 trillion budget, by $1 trillion and issue everybody that $100,000 check, and all of those health corporations and insurance corporations that need that $1 trillion to actually turn a profit, well, for 1 year, they would have a loss. But every victim would be made whole. But I'm just saying, it'll never happen. And so we might as well just try to enjoy the weather today. Hello?
John, here's really the curious thing about all this. You have 1 million accounts. What do you mean you're blocked from Matt Cool's room? It doesn't make any.
I don't know. I think it's Coco.
Anytime under one of your 50 other accounts, sir.
Some of them like what I have to say, but I think Coco on the stage, who's a mod, she might have me blocked. But what do I know? Maybe I'm just a greedy pig.
Listen, here's my take on reparations. I've gotten bored with the topic of reparations because anytime the Democrats bring it up, it always ends in some sort of, and I've said this many times before on many stages on this room. I cannot take the conversation seriously at this point because anytime the Democrats bring it up, it is always centered around, we need to create a panel and a think tank and discuss it. We need to research. And usually over the years, I'm old enough to remember when these kind of panels are formed and these think tanks and these so-called liberal researchers are gathered together,
Many of them, when you look up the racial makeup of these folks, it seems split, right? A nice portion of black folk are on these teams. And older black folk, maybe my generation or even older, right? My parents. And I sit back and I think to myself, what do you lot need to research? You specifically, black man and black woman that I see on this panel. What are you talking about? You guys need to research. It's always, we need to research slavery and the impacts. We need to research the impact and see who was negatively and what town and township and what region suffered the most in X, Y, and Z. And it's a trick bag. They're playing in our face. Especially, like I said, it goes back. Now, we know black folks and many scholars, historians, it doesn't really matter what race you are. We like to remind each other that history, we know, is greatly whitewashed. We like to remind each other that it's his story. We get it. We understand. But certainly I think many foundational black Americans, especially of a certain age, I'm going to say Generation X and older, because, my age group and older, we were actually allowed to study and read history. We didn't have a lot of liberals and weirdos screaming about critical race theory and this, that, and the other, and it makes the black kids feel bad and the white kids feel this, that, and the other. We could actually learn history and read and write. Nobody was called a racist.
Well, I read books.
Okay. So I say all this to say, no foundational black American of a certain age should willingly participate in some politically funded organization, group, or initiative whose goal is to study history of slavery of the past and its impact over the generations, including today, and then reach a decision, and based on that decision, determine if the descendants of slaves deserve reparations. I think it's a slap in the face, and I think it's a joke. What are you studying? What do you need to research?
Well, I'm reading a book. If people come together and they want to do research, that means that they actually shouldn't state their opinions. They should just do information gathering and leave their opinions at the front door.
And I agree, but do you understand how many every political cycle, especially every election cycle, they're putting together these panels, John?
Yeah, I get it. It's political. It's political. Everything is political. The vaccine is political. Abortion is political. Even the human soul is political. Nothing is not political. I'm just saying that the downside to engaging in Clown House, aka this app, and what people talk about is truly the time you lose listening and talking with the people on this app. Because in the book that I'm holding, just 3 minutes of reading or reading 2 pages is so more valuable than listening to people's opinions because they're bored. I mean, it's a beautiful Saturday, and Bima in that room is talking about how to get a vote out of committee, how to get a policy, an issue, and a law. And I'm just saying that people are wasting their time. They're repeating themselves forever until people start picking up books again. And this is why I've started the book club. I call it a book club. We don't talk about the books we read. We read books to each other. This is what this book is talking about. It's talking about society. There's 2 primary functions of society. One is knowledge, to pass knowledge around, and 2 is to trade. And so this is my complaint against, the reparations argument or the Donald Trump derangement syndrome is your complaints are part of why you're complaining, because you're not actually generating new knowledge, essentially, and you're not trading. This app is actually a graveyard. It's where the dying come to die. It's not where the living come to thrive and live, because
John, that's not true.
It's true. I can prove it. The fact that I record it, the fact that I put this on YouTube and record all of this is me actually inverting it, because I'm trying to be creative and trade what people are doing here. People on this app are not repurposing or replatforming, and that's why it's a graveyard. Hello?
Okay, well, here's the thing. Let me give some shout outs, okay? We just opened the room up. John came in hot. All right? I haven't had a chance to say good morning or good afternoon to Elbel. Hi, boo. Hi, honey bunny. I don't know if you're there. Shout out to open audience. Welcome Saturday. Happy Saturday. I'm a little late opening up the room because Apple TV sent me the second season of Dark Matter. Did you guys see Dark Matter season 1? Really, really good show. If you like science fiction, who said Empress, you saw it? Well, yeah. So they sent me the second season because they're gearing up to do press interviews for the second season. And the new season premieres in August. They sent me the second season. I started watching it today. Lost track of time. Elle texted me. She's like, are we doing a room? And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? I didn't really prepare a lot of topics, although I do want to touch on, guys, listen, because I'm so tickled by all of this, guys. 2 topics that have tickled me over the past 2 weeks, okay? Shut the Builder and the Odyssey movie, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. All right? So these are 2 topics that have really, man. So we're going to unpack that a little bit. We'll get into both of those.
Nah, you know, I used to live in Los Angeles, and my sister had some cool friends, and they would get like special DVDs that would say, you know, confidential, cannot be, you know, do not lose this, etc. But it was the movie for the Grammys or the, not the Grammys, the Oscars or whatever. These were like Oscar nominations, and then these people, I guess, got the pre-screen or something so that they could vote on it. I don't even know how it all fucking works, but it's interesting that you get, you know, these press kits and pre-release so you can generate, you know, buzz. Like, that's being productive. You're trading and you are creating entertainment. I'm just saying, the thing that scares me about Clubhouse is that I'm accused of being redundant, but I'm only accusing other people of being redundant. Eventually, you have to create a syllabus, have your topics, and just be aware of what you're doing. That's really all I'm saying, because I think people here are on infinite loop on this app. Hello?
Well, here's the thing. One of the things I'll say about you, when I first met you, why does my brother keep calling me? Oh, he must need something. Hold on, guys. Hold on 1 second. Let me see something. Hold on. Hello?
So that movie Odyssey,
All right, sorry. So listen, this is what I was saying. Let me just say this real quick. One of the things when I first started engaging with you on this app, John, I thought it was amusing when you referred to this app as Clownhouse, which I think is funny. There are a lot of clowns in this app, so I get it. It lives up to your moniker, Clownhouse. But I find it engaging because you can tap in to so many conversations and personalities at any given time. If you want to go into a ratchet black room, you can. If you want to go into the ratchet room, you can. If you want to go into the politically divided rooms, or the entertainment rooms, or the Hebrew Israelite rooms, you can do all of that. And I find it enjoyable, right? I'm addicted to Clubhouse. I hate to admit that. I have enjoyed listening to the conversations, adding where I can add. I've been, late last year I got caught up in some major, you remember the Clubhouse drama with JD and Pepe and was it Mojo? All of that drama, and I was in the center of it because I was trying to defend my people. And I felt, and at the time I was like, man, I finally arrived on this app, because I feel like you haven't truly arrived on Clubhouse unless you get caught up in some Clubhouse drama, right? So I'm like, season 5 on Clubhouse, I finally arrived. I'm finally at the center of rooms. People are talking about me, but, you know, they're like, mind your business, Nye. Has nothing to do with you. Shit like that, right? But that's my thing. And John, listen, I do appreciate your book rooms. Before you started that, there was a Nigerian woman on this app. I think they ran her off the app because they said she was running scamming, what do you call that? Bitcoin? Scamming Bitcoin rooms and NFTs or something like that. But when she wasn't hosting her NFT and Bitcoin rooms, she held book rooms and she would play audiobooks. And those were great rooms. A lot of books that I had been meaning to read in years past, she played. So I would sit there like, yeah, I've been meaning to read this book. And I would sit there for hours listening to the audiobook. Now, because I work Monday through Friday, all day doing articles and writing up, entertainment news. So I'm very lucky that I have, 30 years working in film and TV. I'm now to the point where I can work from home. I can work anywhere. I no longer have to be in an office. So I like to have Clubhouse in the background. I use it like talk radio, AM radio. I look at it as an interactive podcast. So I understand your
never wear
criticisms, John.
Turn them into
but
cash
I don't know.
expenses.
I think you like it too. I think you just like to talk smack because you're on here just as much as everybody else all day, John. So what you talking about?
Well, I mean, past 24 hours, I know losers come on here, they say, oh, I haven't used the app in weeks, I took a break, and it's like, well, here you are telling us about your break. I'm just saying that, like, I put a link in the chat, I recorded that 9 years ago, and it's got 2,000 views, it's Shuang Tzu, and it's Chinese philosophy, and I'm just saying that reading, this app is entertainment, and I'm only complaining that it's entertainment. My thought is that how do we actually use the app productively? How do we make money? How do we trade our time and our voices and our entertainment to make money? And that's what I'm just like appalled because conservative Republicans on here who are supposedly anti-state and economy and claim they're capitalists, well, all they do is complain. They're not actually making any money. They're not being productive. They're not organizing anything. And the thing is, when this app shuts down, I like to think in the back of my head that I've recorded it for 5 years just to prove how ignorant people are and how basically we're just birds. I spend a lot of time watching birds, and we're no different. We are just chirping, but no productivity. At least the birds are organizing some shit and building a nest. And so when this app shuts down, there are people here who are networked in through other platforms like Instagram or LinkedIn, etc. Those are the people that are actually creating value. But the people who hide behind names like Pepe or Matt Cool that don't use their real identities, they're actually some of the sickest and most R-worded out and brain-rotted out people there are because they're using this app to entertain themselves like immature sycophants. Losers that never went to college, never sat in classrooms for years, reading, writing papers, listening to a professor, working on complicated math problems, etc. So I'm just saying that this app is 100% entertainment, but the good news, it really is the book. Pick any book you want. I talked to this girl, she told me she hasn't read a book in 20 years. And she said, well, do you have any book recommendations? I said, just pick up a book, take a picture of a book, and confirm with me you read what's called a book. All she does is spend her whole life picking up dog shit and going to this event and having a guy pay for this. And meanwhile, she's got no children. She's basically a floozy. Hello?
Okay, good night. Okay, John. Okay, breathe. Okay? Whew. John. All right, God bless you. Elle, are you there? Elle, I haven't heard your beautiful voice yet.
She's a floozy.
I need to know if you've been following this Chuck the Builder story. Oh, go ahead, Elle. Go ahead, boo. I know you've been like,
No.
what is going on? Can we talk? Go ahead, boo.
No, girl, no. Please go ahead and continue. I was just answering. Yes, I'm here. I was just running a couple of errands while listening to you and John. We're really listening to John go all the way off, and I was like, who is this man, and what is he talking about? So I'm just gonna listen, catching up, mentally in the right space, and I realized that you guys are friends, not enemies. There's a lot going on. Like, I wasn't sure if I had to get up on this stage and, like, slap him or slap you. Like, I wasn't sure what was going on, but here I am. What's up, girl?
What's up? So, John, you got a lot to say. Elle, I know you're running errands. You can chime in when you can. Have you been following this Chud the Builder? I know John has probably heard about it. Elle, have you heard about it?
I have only heard. First of all, I think I'm mixing stuff up. So please enlighten.
Okay, this story has tickled me. One thing that I noticed about me, I gave myself a fake topic. Well, let me rephrase. I'm trying to figure out the proper term to describe my obsession with studying. Maybe it's behavioral scientist, but I'm not a clinically recognized. Obviously, I went to film school, so I don't want to use a formal term. I want to make up a term that is informal and does not imply that I have a degree of some sort, okay, and that I'm a authority in this subject. But I do enjoy observing human behavior, and the reaction to human behavior is actually an obsession. And I think it stems from because I'm a writer and creative, and I really love writing characters, right? And studying humans and those around me, folks I know directly, indirectly, and kind of creating characters or channeling some of their essence into the worlds that I write. And so this Chuck the Builder comes down my radar, a week or so ago? And I'm like, this is insane. So if anybody doesn't know who Chuck the Builder is, he's this white dude who, I don't know how, what his claim to fame was prior to going viral recently for harassing black folks in public. But I understand before he went viral for harassing black people in public, he had a nice little following on Twitch or some streaming platform. He came across my radar about a week ago on X because he walks around Nashville with a cowboy hat, his long brown hair, his big, thick, curly mustache curled up at the tips. And he walks up to random, innocent black people minding their business, and he says to them, do you believe in free speech? And they say yes. And he says, well, you believe white people can say nigger. And then, he waits for however, and the reaction from the black folks is varied, right? But in all cases that I've seen, most of the black people who react they don't react with violence, right? They want to, but Chud threatens to either shoot them or mace them, okay? So he walks up to them, antagonizes, provokes them. If they react to being called the N-word or his use of the N-word, then he says, oh, you're chipping out. Meanwhile, he's really the only one acting like a nigga chipping out in the video, right? So if the subject of his racial harassment walks up on him or responds aggressively in tone or even his physical demeanor suggests he might lay hands on Chud threatens to shoot or mace. So everyone generally backs off. I saw one viral clip where he did mace a girl. The police arrived on scene. They handcuffed Chud, but after, some back and forth with the victim and witnesses and Chud and the police watching his recording of the incident, they let him go. And he live streams all of this, right? So he has an audience. He already had an audience, and then he went even more, big time, I guess, in the incel community online, the anti-black incel community in recent, days or weeks with his spiel. And in between these viral clips, he has popped in and off of on X, kind of celebrating his antics. It's like he's intoxicated on his growing fame, right? Bragging about his First Amendment rights. Nobody can do anything to him. You know what I'm saying? While at the same time acknowledging that he is getting death threats. People are threatening his young son. There was a GoFundMe launch, but I can't really tell if it was launched before the shooting incident that I'm about to describe. Now, I was doing some research on it yesterday, trying to find a date on his fundraising page. I couldn't see the date. Maybe I overlooked it. looking up his fundraising page gives the impression that it was created before the shooting incident. So, before I get to the shooting incident, I have to give you all this setup. Because you've had a lot of people online saying, if he shoots someone, it's self-defense. You've had people on this app hosting rooms about, if Chud calls you the N-word, you don't have the right, and of course it's all white folks telling black people, the gist of it is we can say whatever we want to say to you, nigger. You don't have the right to get aggressive or respond, and if you do, I have the right to shoot you. Of course, I'm listening to this conversation and I'm thinking to myself, what happened to the once mighty white man who was all about fists? Can the white man no longer fight? Is everything about just drawing guns? Is he that weak and beta that he can't fight with his fists? But I digress. So I'm listening to this back and forth, and everybody's saying, well, if he shoots, it's self-defense, it's self-defense. And my position is, well, if you provoke and you antagonize and you go out seeking a violent reaction to your violent words, not knowing if the person you're hurling the N-word to, how they feel about that word. Maybe some, we know some black people, they don't give it another thought, they won't give their power, they won't react, right? Some black people, they might have a visceral reaction, maybe some PTSD to that word, right? I've noticed this in spaces that have been holding these conversations. You're using this word and you don't know the psyche of the person and how they react. You antagonize them, you provoke them, they get physically violent off a situation you created, and then you shoot them because you are afraid of, you're in fear of your life. I'm trying to figure out how that's self-defense. And so that leads us up to Wednesday, this past Wednesday. Because the conversation up until this past Wednesday outside of Tennessee Courthouse, Montgomery Courthouse, okay? The conversation online, a lot of prominent right-wing personalities. You had Matt Walsh. You had, I think, the Tate brothers, maybe the Tate brothers. What's that other guy's name? Some of these big streamers. The one Egyptian guy that hates black people. I forget his name, but some of y'all know who I'm talking about. They're all, even Nick Fuentes, notoriously racist Nick Fuentes was like, yeah, this guy Chuck the Builder is in the wrong. He said it's not a good look to walk up to strangers, black people minding their business, to hurl the N-word. No, you don't have self-defense. So that's what's been the conversation. He's going to have self-defense. He's going to get off. Everybody on social media, he's going to get off. If he shoots a black man, you black people don't have the right to fight back. If we shoot you, that's self-defense.
I had never heard of this.
That motherfucker. Go ahead. What's that now?
I had never heard of this guy before, but just based on Clubhouse and what people say on this app, I guess some people have died from this app, because of beefs. And really, the social media platform of beefing is Instagram. And I see horrible things on Instagram, incredible violence. Ludicrous, insane robberies, and then shop owners pulling out guns and shooting the robbers. I mean, just you see the craziest videos like Instagram had, and it's small people that put together these accounts and upload all this violence, and it's global. And that's why, maybe earlier I was saying, because I served in the Army with black people, and I've worked with African Americans in the federal government. And guess what? For the most part, we always get along. And one of the reasons why there's no really race consciousness in the interactions is because of shared purpose. You have, basically our brains, when given instructions, we're like ants. We want to work together.
Okay, hold on, Sean. Hold on. We cannot go down we overcome. You interrupt. I got to give the people an update about Chuck the Builder. You gotta wait, okay? Elle doesn't know about Chuck the Builder. Some of the audience may not know about Chuck the Builder. And I want to get to it because I want to know your stance on what this man did. You said you outside the courtroom. Chud is in the Montgomery court on a separate civil matter, okay? And, Martina, I haven't seen you in ages. Is that Martina who I think it is? What's up, Martina?
Hey, bro. Go ahead. I'll let you speak, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You just finish your story.
Yes. Okay, I haven't seen you in forever. Hey, okay, so there is Chud the Builder at court. He's coming out the court, and all the details now are coming out what happened, because it was a little fuzzy before. But now the police have released their statements, the investigators and witnesses. So now we have a full picture of what happened. And what happened is, he's coming out of court, somehow he had his gun. Either, what's unclear is that he had the gun and he went into court, he checked it in and retrieved it upon leaving, or because he was live streaming and he has somebody who live streams everything with him, did he leave the gun with his cameraman and, when he went into court and obtained it when he came back out? That part I'm not sure. The point is, he was armed when he left the court. And as he's leaving the court, apparently, this black guy is out there, recognizes Chud because of his viral videos, and apparently, he says something. What he says is up for debate. Chud claims that he saw the black guy and another guy laughing at him, so he went over there and asked them, hey guys, what you laughing at? You like my suit or something, okay? There's also reports that the black guy who was shot told Chud, basically, I recognize who you are. Don't come over here with that chimp shit. Don't come over here talking about chimp. I have PTSD, okay? I don't know that anybody has released a full camera. We do know that there's surveillance footage. The police have confirmed there was surveillance footage outside the court, okay? I have not seen a full linear timeline. I've seen chunks. So, allegedly, these two men exchange words. Chud walks away, allegedly. The black guy proceeds to follow. I guess they exchange more words. Now, Chud claimed initially that when the black guy followed him, he attacked him, Chud turns around and shoots him. When he shot him in the stomach and shoulder, that was according to initial reports, and grazed himself in the process, right? Well, the police reviewed the surveillance and talked to witnesses who saw it. They said actually what happened was Chud pulled out his gun first before the victim, the guy who was shot, laid hands on him. And I'm interpreting all this based on what I read from the police and what they said witnesses told them. It seems like, according to witnesses, the black man who reacted was trying to stop Chud from pulling out the gun. There were even police there on the scene who witnessed this. That's why they arrested him on the scene and charged him with attempted murder. The police even said he took, they used a word that I don't know, a specific word, some sort of stance, ready to draw. And that's when the black man reacted. Now, Chud was arrested. He's still in jail. On Friday, the judge set a $1.2 million bond. There's another bond hearing coming up, I think, in 2 weeks. A hearing to reduce the bond, perhaps, right? And so that kind of flips the narrative a little bit, because everyone was like, oh, no, it's self-defense. The black guy attacked him. Chud had the right to pull out his gun and shoot him. Well, now we're finding out, according to witnesses, police, and surveillance, that Chud pulled his gun out first, and the black guy was reacting to that, and it seemed like he was trying to stop Chud from pulling out the gun and shooting him. Now, the black guy's family has launched a GoFundMe. They've raised, I think, close to $100,000 now. The wife did confirm in the GoFundMe that the victim, the guy, is an Army vet, 6 years he served. He has physical disabilities and mental disabilities.
That is on the other side, maybe a couple of miles away, and you got to get across the hill, and all of a sudden you're sitting here thinking, How am I going to figure out how to get over that, through that? And my chest never sits there, and my chest never sits there and starts pounding like it's, like you're a football player getting ready to go and try to make this first touchdown for the season or something. It's not that type of thing. This reads like a transcript of someone just speaking. Anyway, it's not that type of thing. It's more like this thing of trying to figure out your way out of how you're going to get through something.
I am blocked even from this room. I've never even talked to these people and I'm blocked.
Like, I am gonna get through this. It was more of a positive type thing about push harder to try to get through this.
His actions prompted this shooting.
I'll just say it's written,
not raised door for the defense to introduce the victim's criminal past. And apparently, the victim in this situation, the black guy,
if you transcribe
has a criminal past that
just
involves trying to burn down
conversations,
the house of his
the
baby
kind of stuff we do here on Clubhouse,
or his wife. I'm not sure.
the way the transcription never looks like the way you would write it if you sat down and tried to write what you were saying. So it felt that way, like it was a direct transcription.
And I'm thinking to myself,
but yeah.
What does his past?
Now, what is the white media?
The legacy media. Do you know what the white media is? Don't play dumb, John.
Is there a purple media? Is there a green media? Is there a red media? I'm just asking.
Okay, John, I'm not doing this with you, so that's where we are. I'm gonna land there.
Sighted man, lateral frontal and posterior parietal circuitry. But in Parvizi's stimulation experiment, the DACC was activated in the absence of any plan for action imposed by executive control areas. In the absence of a plan, the strong blind man gropes for a solution to an ill-defined challenge that requires pushing ever harder. Note that confronting an uncertain challenge is described as a positive feeling by this patient. In a world in which we have done so much to minimize risk and challenge for our children, we may be harming their brains. In section 4, wait, where did that come from? Did that come out of nowhere? In a
evidence introduced. If he knew the guy and he knew his criminal history, because what's up for debate is not whether or not, and again, this is only if, let's say Chad the Builder was the aggressor. They would be basically trying to determine, or the prosecution would be trying to cross-examine Chad the Builder on what he had in his mind when he was being quote-unquote attacked, because he's going to use a self-defense argument. And in no way could Chad the Builder have known the victim's alleged criminal history. So that's why it won't come into trial. I would love to hear that clip that you're referring to hear the proper context of the attorney.
And I'm glad you said that. Let me pull it up because he did mention that. Prior knowledge. Thank you. I forgot to mention that, having the prior.
And I'm not one of those black people.
Like modern day
Iran. Wait. To be fair, I don't think we could know what he really looked like, to be fair. It'd be hard to tell, like, phenotype-wise. I don't think we can know.
There is a syncretism with Hammurabi.
Properties that make it a tree.
Is sawdust
right?
treeness? Is
I don't
sawdust
hold to essential properties.
Is sawdust treeness? Answer the question.
I don't hold to. No.
It's not.
It's not.
So you don't know me. No, I'm not doing this. No. You're going in the audience. I'm not
that's crazy.
Philosophy. Go follow him at the. This is what happens. Follow
because I haven't read it to that point. There were a couple of Twitter accounts posting that the DA is not going to allow him to use his fundraising campaign to post bail.
Moderators.
I don't know if that's accurate. Go ahead.
Moderators, if I may, just briefly, I live in Chicago. A lot of people on this app, I have noticed, live in Chicago. And we have what's known as the Safety Act. And everybody knows that you name a bill the opposite of what the bill actually intends to do. For example, the HEROES Act or the CARES Act. It's always the opposite of what the act claims that it does. So my point is, recidivist criminals who sucker punch women on Michigan Avenue 50 times, that's attempted murder. And why we don't have capital execution is beyond me, because there are mentally deranged, violent psychopaths, and you all know it's true, who will continue to victimize people and murder them and abuse and physically hit because they are psychopathic, aggressive psychopaths. And many of you have probably maybe have been victimized by some of these brutes and criminals who wander our streets, whether homeless or not. And anyways, ankle monitoring and no cash bail because of DEI and restorative justice and social equity lets a lot of violent African Americans and white Americans back onto the streets. I've seen pictures of white Americans. My point is, I would actually like to hypothetically argue on behalf of free speech, because Nye here knows me, Hillary here knows me, and as someone who likes to experiment with free speech, and this is the amazing thing about our First Amendment, our first right, which is really your right to experiment with communication and suffer the consequences thereof. Because in my opinion, Clubhouse is part of the modern capital surveillance economy. And anything you say and everything you say can and will be held against you in the future. Meaning, well, it's true. What do you think we spend all this money for? $100 billion a year to surveil our population and put it in storage servers. Hello?
We're just gonna keep it on entertainment, kind of like today. All right, we'll get to the conspiracies at UFOs in a minute.
So refresh me real quick. Who is Chud the Builder? What's going on with this?
Okay, girl. Wait, Martina, go ahead. I think Martina wants to get in there. Go ahead, Martina.
Girl. I can't. Okay, first of all, Hillary, I'm gonna need you to get there quicker. I love you, but get it together. No, I'm just kidding. I love you. Okay, so quickly, this Chud the Builder shit is diabolical. This man makes money off of inciting violence to black people and making them he puts himself in situations and that entices people. He's trying to create a race war. He's trying to create a race war, basically. He's doing it for profit, which is fucking disgusting.
What the other person is saying. Now, for example, let's say I'm committed
you can't
to
sit here and be like, there's nothing about this thing.
Let's say I'm committed to atheism. Atheism is also usually most atheists are like naturalists, right?
It's really this guy is a person does shit in bad faith, and then puts himself in a situation to make himself feel like then he has to react and kill black people. He puts himself in a situation so he can incite violence on black people by provoking black people to begin with.
Natural.
I don't. That's someone that is shit in bad faith and he's a racist asshole. And he uses racism as a platform to profit, which is fucked up and disgusting as shit. It should be a violation and it's not about free speech. It's about inciting. Right. You can't the thing about free speech is you have free speech, but you can't go into a fucking crowded area and scream fire. That's what he's doing, and he's doing it for profit, which is fucking disgusting. And
why are people giving this guy money then?
Because the racist assholes live in Trump America. I don't know what to tell you, bro. That's what the fuck it is. It's real simple. And so that's how I feel about it. I don't know who else feels anything, but I don't have really much else to say about it.
Yeah, I want to confirm that what this guy is doing is psychopathic, mentally deranged, sick, and criminal. And the whole thing about life is if you fuck around, you're going to find out eventually. Because the opposite of your aggression is eventually coming your way. And, you know, anyways, I'll just say that, you know, I think Nye has a winning formula. You know, I think essentially the winning formula is Howard Stern and Robin Quivers, meaning that the opposite is that when opposites unite, that's always the best content. And what do you mean, Nye, giving me the skull?
Because I'm laughing. I'm laughing because you're so funny. No, the skull is a good thing.
Oh, okay. I'm killing it.
Yeah.
I'm killing it.
You're fine. You're fine.
So, unfortunately, people like Chud the Builder exist. And I could make a theoretical defense to what he's doing, meaning that even using the sacred N-word, because I've been in a lot of African American spaces on this app, and some people will say, do not casually use the N-word. It's our holy word. It's our sacred word. Don't just, use it in vain.
John, don't drop the N-word, okay?
I would never use the N-word.
You know what, I'm gonna let you trolling. Martina, you don't know. I know he's trolling. I need you to get to the point, but go ahead, bro.
No, it's not a joke. What I'm trying to get at is that this poor victim.
You want Nye to be your co-host on a podcast? That's what I'm picking up.
100%, we're doing it right now. What
black spaces have you gone in and they said the N-word with the hard ER is our holy word?
I have it. You can watch my YouTube if you want. It's on my YouTube. But anyways, that's not the point of what I'm saying. What I'm trying to get at is if I really have no point about this guy, but the
okay, well, you don't have a point. Great, let's move on.
Well, let me just say this. Let me just say this: that the victim. Well, you guys are going to be here all day. This is like 60 seconds for you. You guys will be here for hours. Hello?
Okay, hold on. John, TC did ask I found the clip of this attorney. It was Myron Gaines.
Oh, that beautiful bean footage.
Yeah, now guys, the clip is 5 minutes. I'll play the whole thing, but if y'all want me to stop at some point, because it's too long, let me know and we'll stop if you want to talk about it. But okay, so this is Myron Gaines talking to a federal defense attorney or former Fed and self-defense attorney. This is what the caption says. His name is not here, but here we go. Let me set it up.
Here's a tweet that comes from a guy named Mary King. He's been kind of giving updates on the situation. I think him and Chud are friends. But here's what he said. This was a couple of hours ago. Quote, Chud update. Here's the fun facts that you'll see developing. The entire exchange was live streamed on Pump One. That's the streaming service I was telling you guys about before.
How many feet do you have to be away from the courthouse to carry with a weapon? Because I know you literally there's X amount of feet you have to be away. You can't even go up to the steps of it.
I have no clue actually. I'm not. I don't live in Tennessee, and again, I'm not an attorney, but I do know that you can't. I mean, I just basically know you can't bring a gun into a courthouse if you're not a peace officer, an on-duty peace officer at that point. I know they do have lockers sometimes for people that are bringing a weapon. This is Tennessee. It's a southern state. It's a right to carry state. So I know they have open carry laws in Tennessee and it can still carry. But it might be plausible that he was there for the protest thing. I don't know. I haven't seen any of this information. And it surprises me because this guy records everywhere he goes. And everywhere he goes, people out there, they record him because they know he's going to provoke an altercation. So the fact that no video evidence has surfaced for the public, especially with all these sleuths around here on X, I've not seen anything before the attack happened. This is what.
Civil case.
started the fight. That opens the door to admit evidence that the other guy has a history of violence, even if you didn't know about it, because that's relevant to whether or not it was correct that he started the fight. So, defense attorney, on this issue of provocation, I'm going to bring in that other guy's entire open the door to do it. Prosecution. Coming into the record.
There you go. Standard and some trash talk. That's bullshit. No evidence as to the original. There's no video. It claims one guy. No witnesses, nothing. It was just them two. And they both got into an altercation. It is his word against the other guys. And the other guy saying, no, he started it. And the one guy says, no, he started it. That would have to be that's the only scenario in which I can imagine a judge would admit prejudicial evidence to prejudice the victim in this case. Because there's no other scenario in which you could determine who started the fight. And then he might have a point. But I find it very hard to believe that that's the case, especially because people are saying that it was being recorded, it's live streamed, which means it's likely backed up somewhere in the cloud. That there were no witnesses would have to be there, which would mean that it was which we know is not the case. So this cockamamie legal maneuver that he's proffering here would only have to be accepted by stupid people to believe that's even a viable option in this case. Unless the judge is just so beholden to against this guy that he's willing to admit that, which is crazy. Insults, right? No, yeah, but again, I'm going to ruin your life is even also something that's considered passing the threshold, not insults like you're a bitch or whatever, right? That's actually something is not making me the initial aggressive. But so here's the thing, right? If he was to go up to a guy that was minding his own business and called him a name that created a confrontational environment. Provocation
word itself could trigger trauma. And that was the whole point I initially raised with Chud the Builder. And Horrible, I'll give you the mic right back. My initial claim was the same thing. It's like, sure, everybody wants to say freedom of speech, and that's fine. Say what you want to say, do what you want to do. But you're going out, and by I'm saying, speaking in general, you're going and actually putting myself in the position of Chud the Builder. You're going into spaces where there are people, where there are strangers, okay? You don't know the mental state of these people you're going up to. And if you're saying words that you know have a harmful historical context, and you know can possibly trigger a violent reaction, you are responsible for whatever happens to you if you get your head knocked off if you provoke the wrong person. That was the exact point that I've been trying to make. And it's odd, I made that point before we even knew what happened outside the courtroom, right? When we were talking about it on this app.
And we still don't know exactly what happened outside the courtroom.
Well, let me say specifically, allegedly, according to reports, the victim said he told Chud, I have PTSD. And then the family said in the GoFundMe, he's got some mental disabilities. So it goes back again.
Well, one time I was getting evicted, and so I called the legal aid hotline, and an African American who I told, I had PTSD, he said, I'm from the ghetto, motherfucker. We all got PTSD, bitch. And so I'm just trying to say that, well, listen, it did happen. Hello? And what I'm telling you is that this fucking Chud the Builder, this is actually in a way what he wants to happen, meaning that there are these accelerationist neo-Nazi pieces of shit out there, and Pep is one of them, and there's other losers on this app that are the same way, and they're losers. But see, for a loser to get national notoriety with a stupid fucking name like Chud, and he's not building shit except his own grave, this is the problem with our focused concentration and the content of the media. Now, I know you consider yourself a media maven and a media generator, but I would just humbly submit on this beautiful day. This is, I record and live stream everything I do on this app, as many of you know. I'm just trying to say that, I try to live every day as if it was my last day. Meaning that if I were to record Pepe or Brad the Viking or many of the other characters here on this app all day long, well, then I don't want that to be my legacy. Meaning, I don't want people to look back and say, I don't want to be associated with these people. I don't want their thoughts and opinions to be my thoughts and opinions.
John, but yet you sit on Clubhouse all day and you record them for hours. You have created a digital database. All these people you claim you don't want and don't want it in your life and don't want to listen to. But you have a digital database of all these people.
I know, but if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see I'm also reading books. And that's the most important thing that I do, which is read books. Not engage in these useless conversations or these never-ending, repetitive, redundant conversations. And I don't want to hear the opinions of people that I consider to be toxic. Hello?
Okay, John. Okay, hold on, because I did promise to give the mic back to Horrible to let him finish his submission. Horrible, please go ahead, sir.
Oh no, I just leave my mic off, but I kind of disagree with where this is gonna head, which is like, yeah, that gives me rights to just sock someone in the face for like basic stuff. Like if they called me a name, I could sock them in the face. If they like what is this? Like what are we gonna get into? Where we can just, and then by the way, can I just keep socking the guy? Like that guy he lost his right to self-defense the entirety of the fight. Like I could just keep wailing on him.
But don't you think it comes down to personal, what is the word here? To morals and character? Like no.
Yeah, but there's women that say certain things that I probably would get up and feel so traumatized because of how insulting it is to my religion that I would need to knock them the fuck out. As a women,
You're
kids.
horrible. You're inverting this. You're inverting this. And I don't think you're taking the right response.
I don't think I should be allowed to go around knocking
No,
people
but
out.
you're hold on, horrible. You're inverting it. It's not whether or not the black guy should be allowed to go hit the guy. It's whether Chud the Builder should be allowed to draw his weapon and shoot a guy. That's the difference. We're not talking about. It's likely that if Chud the Builder had fended off this other guy
in the nose.
or whatever,
You called me picking the nose.
Was he the aggressor? Was the
We
black
saw
guy
him
the aggressor?
picking
Was
his
the black
nose
guy
live
the
on
black guy?
camera.
Then we can have a conversation.
Buttergate.
But the problem that you
This
have is you have an
politician was
escalation of
picking
violence.
his
That's illegal.
nose on YouTube
Live.
Live.
Hand-to-hand
He's a nose
we can
picker.
have that debate. Oh, should he have hit him first or no?
And I still feel like I didn't even get the booger.
The conversation here accelerated that.
Buttergate.
Out his gun. Now it's no longer about whether the guy should be allowed to hit him. Now it's about whether Chud has the right to shoot and kill the guy. No, that's what I'm trying to tell you. He has the right to shoot and kill him. All five elements that the guy mentioned a minute ago. Reasonableness, provocation, imminency, innocence, and there was a fifth one that I didn't catch. But
Reasonableness.
all five of those
The fifth one was reasonableness.
Yeah, so the reasonableness is going to be the actually, I think he committed, so it's not self-defense in this case, in my opinion. It's not self-defense. It is or it's not. I just find it is not now. It is not now. I'm going to discuss this because it doesn't matter whether or not the guy, we're talking about whether he had the right to shoot. We're not talking about whether or not he had the right to punch the guy back and punch him. Okay, yes, now I'm with you. Now I understand what you're saying. Okay, yeah, no, I don't think it was self-defense, to be honest. And that's, yeah, what's it called? I don't think so. But is it like, you have to have a
It's not like him shooting himself. Like, I'm reading a whole bunch about it, and it says he shot the guy and then shot himself. That's how it would happen.
It's reasonable provocation. These guys here are like extreme. I don't know if you guys remember this guy, Vitaly. He used to go around harassing people.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, he's like in prison now, I believe, because he's tried that in a country that they don't fuck with that shit. But yeah, he's a problem too. Like these guys don't do this. You know,
Did you say Somali?
no, Vitaly. I think he was in the Philippines. Right. I'm not that sure. But yeah, okay.
So I'm reading here on ABC News, it says that the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office and the District Attorney's Office did not disclose the specific make, model, or caliber of the firearm used. But to that point, somebody raised this point the other day in a clubhouse room. Chud's viral videos or his content where he's going up antagonizing and provoking people, it's very interesting because, yeah, we've all been trying to figure out why he had the gun at the courthouse to begin with. But someone could argue, you know, if the prosecutor used any of his viral footage, if they
tradition of the PhD students in the program taking a course in a medical school that involved doing.
Too much. I was depressed, smoked way too much pot.
Oh, I
got my ass thrown right out of college.
I honestly said some people get kicked out of college. I'm seeing the trend here.
Hey, Ward, can I go next, Ward?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm done. I think I've answered all the questions.
Oh, hold on, Marshall. Yeah, let's hear from Crystal. Go ahead.
Hold on 1 second. Okay, so check this out. So I posted in the chat, Slave Without Masters, right? That's a book. And I also posted in the chat the EDU from Auburn University with this student's last name Thompson and Bailey did a dissertation paper on heir properties, right? And what they came up with was that the heirs to the properties from Virginia down to Louisiana was majority African American, the HR 4238 American, right? The Negro relabeled, reclassified 100,000 times somebody else, right? The owners of the land. Right, so that's the paper right there. And I put it in the chat. And then I put in the chat this book, The Most Important Part is by Professor Kent, copyrighted in 1840. Right? I got his I got a page of it in my PTR picture, right? It's on the Internet Archive, you know, the .gov thing.
What?
Okay. So this is lecture book. This is lecture 32 of Masters and Servants. What? Right? And what did it say? What are the several kinds of persons that come within the description of servants? Slaves, hired servants, and apprentices. How, according to the Institutes of Justinian, might a person become a slave? In 3 ways. 1, by birth when the mother was a slave. 2, by captivity and war. 3, by voluntary sale of himself as a slave by a free man, FREEMAN, above the age of 20 for the purpose of sharing the price. Did y'all hear that?
Oh my God! Moderators, this is Alistair. Put me in the queue. Thank you.
And then with that, we have that book that I told you about, Slaves Without Masters, the free Negro in the antebellum South.
Hello, moderators. Can I get a hello? I'm asking to be put in the queue.
Shut the fuck up.
So then, with these people of deep complexion folks, I like to use
These complexion folks.
right, the observations of mankind. I might have left off a couple of parts of the title, but you know that's what he's saying. Right, and in section 24, hold on, I'm looking for the on my in my PTR. I'm almost to it. Oh, there it is. I'll make it number 1.
Not to cut you short, what's the overarching point that you're making?
Honey, I'm going along.
She building, baby. She building.
And the down south people I come from were free people of color.
Ooh.
So, and then I wanted to show also that the land in the South.
Before you go and tell us what you wanted to show, you explain it to me your overarching point. Is your overarching point that somebody that claimed that their family had slaves is lying? I'm trying to understand your overarching point. What's the big picture you're trying to make us understand?
I'm just making a point that if people had slaves, it didn't matter their complexion because he was like, they had black slaves and they came to his family reunion. It was his cousins more than likely because it's by birth of the mother and it's from the father because in lecture 32, lecture 28 goes with that. You know, we'll get back around to that maybe later. But it's marriage, a license, a bond. And one of the other people in here said that your granddaddy was more your slave owner. So I was just wanting to compound. I have heard since I've been in the space since Sword was speaking. I wanted to help, you know. So that's why I should. So you getting worried about what I had to say?
I appreciate you, Crystal. Thank you for explaining that. You know, Crystal, like sometimes we need to get redirected and get back to the gist of the room, the heart of the title of the room. Crystal, how do you feel about reparations succinctly? How does Crystal feel about reparations?
And Anthony, let me just do a reset real quick, Crystal. What we just had heard was Marshall discuss that he had a family reunion when he was 12, and that he found out that he has black cousins. Likely, I mean, let's be realistic. Likely, there was, and we'll take him on his word that his family. I don't know if I can go through it. Anyhow, that we'll take Marshall on his word for what he's telling us to be the truth. I would likely think it's just his family members. There was probably his great-grandfather had illegitimate children, great-great-grandfather along the way, and these were just, distant cousins. But that being said, I think Crystal was just responding to Marshall's account prior to that. That's all.
That, man, I totally understand. And Beaver, you're not a good person. Beaver, you're a horrible human being. I just thought I'd let you know. You're not a good person.
That's a shame that Marshall's not still here. I wanted to ask if any of his silverware went missing after he met his first his black relative.
How the hell y'all are Marshall? Y'all so rude.
Supla is in the building. She is in the building. Yo, man, listen. I'm going to take the pro reparation side, just so we can have some entertainment in the room. I'm going to support reparations in this room. I'm going to be the staunchest supporter of reparations. There is a debt that needs to be paid. All right? And, if we want to see America be great again, we need to pay reparations. That's the only way. It's a stain that we haven't atoned for in this country. And the only way we can get that stain out is through reparations. We can't build a time machine and go back in time and right the wrongs, but we do have to pay for what our ancestors did. So, I don't care what anybody says. We need our reparations, and we need them now.
Yo, can I ask a question? When you say we have to pay, what do you mean? Like, you being a black man, like, what do you have to pay?
I'm saying
I'm not triggered at all.
Anybody
that wants to you didn't come up here to talk about me saying this shit is a distraction, which it is.
I came up to talk about the Chud the Builder thing.
So, state your opinion about what do you want to say about Chud the Builder.
Well, I came in to correct you when you were saying that he was going around harassing black people.
He was.
That wasn't. Well, that's your interpretation. I mean, the Chud the Builder.
What do you call it when you go up to a black?
Interrupt me every time, lady. Why do you have to interrupt me every time?
We're going to have a dialogue. We're going to have a dialogue.
It's not a dialogue. That's a rude, controlling manipulation tactic. Do you hear me talking? That rude there.
Well, because I'm the leader.
Because it's your room, you get to be a bitch.
Stop. And hand in your pen.
Get off the stage right now,
Every room he comes into, and let me tell you something. You're not going to come on my stage and overtalk me. I'm the lead mod. So if I want to interrupt you and ask you a question, I'm going to do that. Stop acting like a small dick human male that can't build with a conversation. This is why Chud the Builder is sitting in jail right now, because someone said some words that hurt his feelings. And he shut up. And he can't say the N-word. He can't harass blacks with the N-word. And if they respond, he's going to lash out. That's the energy you're giving right now, my friend.
He
So
feels
I
a little
asked you, if you want to come back on the stage, you said it's not harassing to go up to a random black person that you don't know and hurl the N-word.
Or a Muslim and hurl words that affect our prophets.
Or someone
Jewish
and say blah, blah, blah.
Also, can you put a job on? You're actually offending me.
now.
I'm being serious.
Well, Rabono Shalom, all I gotta say is I don't think, I deal a lot with.
Wait, who needs to put on a hijab? Me? Who are you talking to?
You're
Hello?
offending me. I'm actually triggered.
Hello?
Right now. And in real life, I don't know what I would do.
Horrible.
He's okay.
I swear to God, wallahi.
Wallahi.
Why don't you put a fucking hijab on?
Wow.
Fucking put a hijab.
Okay.
Oh boy.
You know, why can't people know how to act right? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fucking manners? Shit. Y'all how to do your mama? Like, your mama didn't tell you how to act in public? What the fuck? I'm sorry, nah, this is your room, boo. Hi, what's up?
Hello, moderators. This is John. I'd like to be put in the
Yes,
queue.
we know you, John. Hold on.
Excuse me? Did you just tell me to be quiet? I was talking to a moderator, and I asked the moderator to be put in the queue.
My friend, I welcomed you back because I'm assuming you.
Well, I was very offended that you made a comment about my penis.
You'll get over it. Continue.
Well, you're a nigger.
Well, now look how you got to go with the both away right now.
Don't even boot him. Don't even boot him. Don't even boot him. Your mother's a nigger. See how that works?
No, my mother's a white Jewish woman. Your mother's a nigger.
But wait,
You come from a long line of niggers.
Your mother's a Jewish woman?
Yeah.
Hitler didn't burn her bloodline in the oven.
Okay, fuck you, nigger. Now you understand why people like.
You see how that works? Now go to the Google. You limp dick, low vibrational devil.
I just want to say something, Nye. You could actually be accurate about a little penis. Like who knows what he's packing. But I'm not really interested in whether or not he's packing or he's lacking. What I think is interesting about Chud the Builder is that the name itself, Chud, which is like a scrotum or like a dinghy or something inferior and pathetic. But get the builder part. The builder part is the transformation of the Chud into something.
Wait.
Hello?
Wait. Because I don't want Martina to leave before Martina. I gotta get your opinion on the Odyssey. So if you leave, you gotta come back, sis. Because girl, you better say these let's move on. I can't take it no more. I'm not used to these hostile rooms. I go in rooms about movies. I don't do this shit, okay? Don't come for me. It's 2026. Don't. We ain't got to. Look at my PTR. I ain't got time for this bullshit. Come on, Nine. I love you, girl. But yeah, let's go. Let me breathe. Oh, Hakima's here. Hakima, what's up, Hakima?
I already tried to get him up here. He's not coming up.
Oh, Lord. This is just people. Kevin's here. What's up, Kevin? Kevin's down there. What's up? Oh, Lord. Come on, Kevin. I need some more.
Moderators, isn't it amazing what the N-word...
Let me say this.
Hello?
Before we move on. Let me say this. Guys.
Oh, I thought the N-word meant nigh.
What is that guy's name? Let me give our brother the proper honors. Hold on.
Hey, no, we don't need to even. No, he doesn't exist here. He doesn't need to exist. He doesn't need.
Don't give these motherfuckers no platform. Let's move on.
I'm saying.
The late great Eric Mays. The late great Eric Mays. He died. He was a congressman, politician, viral hero. Okay, if anybody knows that brother, go look up some of his hits.
Is Hakeem Jeffries...
Shut up. Wait, let me finish. Eric Mays is the same, and we go low. When they go low, we go lower. And if we have any Jewish people in the room, I'm going to apologize to them. Because I don't do that anti-Semitic, may your relatives burn in the oven shit. That's not my character. But my friend, but I'm going to match the racism with the racism and the hate. And my friend is notorious for this. This is what he does. Okay? So, you come to me with that bullshit, especially if you're a racist Jew, you were the last. You're going to catch all the fucking heat. A Jewish person?
She got you on that one. We're
going to move on, because I don't do the hate. I don't do anti-Semitism. I don't do all that. I don't do that shit.
Did we hot, juicy gossip going on right now? Anything good in the news? Something juicy, new couples, new
Well,
babies?
Rabono Shalom, I mean, now you did insult his masculinity when you said he had a little penis. I mean, but I will be honest with you, saying the N-word is a bit much. I have tried to... I'm just saying that I think he's out of compliance when he uses the N-word. I think it's low class, but who are we to judge him on a social audio conference call where people waste entire days at a time, weeks, and years of talking about the same stuff over and over and over again? Hello? Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to ask the moderators if I could be put in the queue. I'd like to read from a book, one page from a book. Thank you, moderators.
You're going to be put in the queue, John. Be quiet. Be quiet, okay? And my friend, you called me fat. Yes, I eat really good. We have money. We have money and we eat good. Don't be jealous. If you ate as good as I ate, your dick would be as big as my clit, but it would.
Holy shit!
Okay? And so now we're going to talk.
Could you imagine if your clit was bigger than his dick? That would be a big clit.
Yeah, I know he would. He's triggered. I love that he's triggered in the audience.
You know, the interesting thing about an enlarged clitoris, most people don't know that there's no such thing as trans. Trans is just a concept. But in the medical journals, they have photographs of enlarged clitorises, and they claim that this is a hermaphrodite.
Oh God, I just can't do it. Okay, the Odyssey, go, Nye, go.
Get to the Odyssey, finally.
Stop. Everybody take one in, eat. Let it go.
Somebody was brought up to the audience that I don't know. I moved them back. They have a low friend count. And I'm not doing that weird shit today.
Hello?
Sorry to the gentleman I just moved. When I click on folk profile, they only have 10, 11, 12 followers or friends. They got a pink ticket. I've never seen him in here before. I know you're just here to harass my stage, okay? So here we go. The Greeks are mad, guys. The Greeks are mad about the Odyssey. Y'all heard about the Odyssey?
Have you all heard about the Odyssey? I can't wait to go see it.
Matt Damon! It's not even Homer's Odyssey. But wait. Quick room reset, guys. Happy Saturday.
Yeah.
Press Hollywood. Pop culture, celebrity conspiracies. UFOs used to be in the title. I wonder why I took that out. I don't know. But anyway, if anybody's trying to come up, some folks were trying to come up.
You cannot complain about the condition of America when you sat in my face and told me I gotta kiss your ass for $25 billion already gone. It's gone. It's gone.
When's the last time we've even heard of reparations or had a reparations debate? I haven't done this for a few years. See, not much has changed.
It isn't a debate.
It is a debate. You guys are not get reparations.
Yeah, but they're not statute with the statute of limitations at some point. I mean, we have it for murder and everything else.
I would think so, but the reality is that the black population
for dinner.
Amazing. So the black population.
There's no statute because it's unprecedented.
Oh, okay. Well, the black percentage of the population isn't going up, and but the Hispanics are going up. The whites are slightly going down. Look, nobody. At the end of the day, Hispanics, Asians, whites, none of them want to give their tax dollars or for their government to give blacks money.
Lord, Lord, Lord.
You shall know that the chosen priest, an ox of infinite space, is the prince, priest, the beast, and in his woman called the Scarlet Woman is all power given. They shall gather my children to their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. 16, for he is ever a sun and she a moon. But to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight. But we are not so chosen. 18 burn upon their brows, O splendorous serpent. 19, O azure-lidded woman, bend upon them. 20, the key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, as soul of infinite space, is the prince, priest, the beast. And in his woman, called the Scarlet Woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. For he is ever a sun and she a moon. But to which I have given.